Hey, thanks for clicking on our video. I'm Dad, and this is Devbud. Say hi, bud. Hi, bud. And together, we're making and publishing our first video.
I've recently quit my 9-to-5 to begin my full-time developer journey. Before that, I've been making games for a little more than 10 years. I'm self-taught, and most of the games I've made were small projects. I've never got to publish them, which I regret, but I did learn an awful lot about game development, design, and coding. Now, I'm currently unemployed, sort of, and I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I thought, with the bit of extra time I have, I'll build a game called Bonita Bay. It's a game I designed more than 5 years ago, heavily inspired by Stardew Valley and Pokemon Red, two of my favorite titles. For the art style, it's heavily inspired by a game that unfortunately never got built, called The Last Night. Its art style is called 2.5D. For those that don't know, you have one orthographic camera with 2D pixel art elements mixed with 3D models, awesome lighting, and a few post-processing effects thrown in the mix. Bonita Bay is an open-worldish RPG. You play as a character named Milo who is visiting his cousin Leo that lives on a Caribbean island called Bonita Bay. We need to start building this project. This game is going to be an RPG and therefore really big, so I'm going to need a good organization system. I usually use Trello to organize my projects, but this time, due to the scope of the project, I decided to build my own task manager. Since I'm using Blender for pretty much everything that is going to go in the game, having a Trello-like add-on will be nice. A week or two passed, and here we are. I call it NodePlanner. What's NodePlanner? It's a new node editor type that is tied with Blender to keep track of the development process and to make it easy to navigate a large file with lots of assets. When it comes to using NodePlanner, it's simple. Just install the zip. Now, if you plan on using it in sync with others using GitHub, you can set your GitHub token here and your username here. This doesn't have to be your GitHub username, just an username for your team to know who is who. To use it, just navigate to the editor selection in one of your windows and select the NodePlanner editor. Then navigate to the sidebar. On the NodePlanner panel, you can create any node tree. A node tree is like a Trello workspace for my project. For me, I'm creating one for each section of my game. For example, the ocean and all its contents will be a node tree. You can change their color for easily identifying them as well as their order. Now, this portion depends on the individual and how they want to build it. I'm going to go with a different frame for each area of my group and a different task node for each asset to build. You can do it based on different scenes you want to render or groups. With the Shift 8 shortcut, you can open the Add menu and add a frame inside your node tree. Back to the NodePlanner, you can customize the frame however you want. Now, here's the main node used for tasks. It's called the task node. Not so creative, I know. If you're working in a group and you want to assign this task to someone, you can change the user on the node to any of your team members. To add or remove team members on the NodePlanner panel, just click the plus button on the Team Organization tab and add their names and color. Back to the node. Change the node name. Then we can add a task to it. You can use the indicator to the left of the task to indicate if your task is completed. The progress will reflect on the node tree panel, showing how much percentage you are done with. Here's where the task gets more complex than just needing a text indicator. We can add as many references as we want. For example, I can add a description text of the task if you need to. Next, the image references. You can import an image directly into your Blender file or use a URL of an image. This way, you have a reference of what the task is associated with. And finally, my favorite, since my project files is going to be huge, the object reference that refers to a specific object, or if need be, a collection reference to refer to a collection of objects. It's got these three neat operations. The find operation finds and unhides the picked object. The focus operation will hide all other objects on the scene, and you can unhide them after you are done. This applies to the collection as well. And finally, the add and assign operation It just adds a primitive cube to the scene with the name of the task. The other nodes are the image reference and the description nodes. The final node is the note node, which is mostly used for teamwork. You can leave notes for other team members, and they are able to reply to the notes as well as changing the state of the node to scene to let them know you read it. Finally, the sync logic. Like I mentioned earlier, you can use GitHub to sync any changes done, but you can also use a local file using any file sharing client applications like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, etc. You can share the folder. Once you have your node tree built, you can export its content to a shared file, path, or GitHub repo. It tells you the file status and when it was last updated, so you can either pull or push your changes to the repo or shared file. This will also include any image references that you might have used. Okay, that's enough talk. Time to start designing the game using NodePlanner. Usually I start by building the game mechanics first or testing them if they are fun, but due to this game's size and nature, I'm going to start with the asset library first. So I'm making multiple node trees for each area of the game. In this case, the ocean, the bay itself, and the town of Bonita Bay. Then the store interiors, and finally gameplay related assets. I created a list of assets we'll need for the ocean, including rock formations, types of vegetations, and various fish species. Milo ends up working as a spear fisherman in the bay to help his cousin Leo. So we need a wide range of fish of all sizes. I made sure to specify the sizes in each task, so when I model them, they match the game's scale. Since you'll do more than just spearfishing, the core loop of the game is exploration. The quests ties into ocean-related discoveries. So I listed all kinds of structures: World War II ships and planes, old Spanish galleons, ancient ruins, archaeologists, artifacts, and fossil. Most of the bay tasks are visual elements, with a few exceptions for interactive assets. The town tasks might look small now, but they'll likely expand once I start building them, including quests for NPCs, because this is an RPG. There are specific areas for the main storyline. To progress, players will visit shops, fishing gear, military collectors, junk collectors, aquariums, etc. Finally, the gameplay related tasks cover characters, assets, boat upgrades, parts, spearfishing gear and equipment, storage containers, and more. It might look minimal at first, but this only covers the art. We still need to implement animations and mechanics in the game engine, which we'll tackle later. I didn't think the design portion will take an entire video, but you know what they say, you can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any ideas for new nodes to add to the NodePlanner, let me know in the comment section. If you'd like to get your hands on the NodePlanner add-on, check out the links in the description for Patreon, Gumroad, and Blender Market. I would love to make the add-on free, but baby formula, it's really expensive these days. I'll be back next week when I start building some of the assets and integrating them into the game itself.